Now we turn to the three men.
Well, Memphis police need your help finding three men.
The so-called West Memphis Three are free this morning. They were convicted in the brutal murder of three Cub Scouts in Arkansas in 1993.
Three 8-year-old boys were murdered in West Memphis, Arkansas in May of 1993. Three teenagers were convicted of killing them. The convictions rested on almost no physical evidence. All three teenagers were innocent. They spent 18 years in prison before being released.
After almost 2 decades in prison, the so-called West Memphis Three are free this morning.
The DNA found at the crime scene matched a different man entirely. That man was never charged. The murders of Steve Branch, Michael Moore, and Christopher Byers are today technically unsolved. Three boys who left home one afternoon in May, still waiting for justice. What happened to them is three catastrophes layered into one. The catastrophe of the wrong men convicted, the catastrophe of a justice system that was never held accountable, and the catastrophe of three children whose actual killer has never been identified. Every part of this story runs through all three of those failures at once. The West Memphis Three case is the most discussed wrongful conviction in American popular culture.
The infamous West Memphis murders rocked the world, not just of West Memphis.
It produced 3 HBO documentaries and 2 feature films. It changed how the country talks about false confessions, satanic panic, and the vulnerability of teenagers who don't look like what a community expects innocent to look like. What most people don't know is how close the actual truth may have been to the surface the entire time, and why, more than 30 years later, a crime laboratory in Virginia is still working on this case. May 5th, 1993, West Memphis, Arkansas. 3 second-grade boys went out to play after school and didn't come home. Their parents reported them missing that evening. The next morning, search parties found their bodies in a drainage ditch in the woods of Robin Hood Hills. Chris Byers, Michael Moore, and Steve Branch had been beaten, stripped naked, hog-tied with their own shoelaces.
The little boys were found in a drainage ditch, mutilated and beaten to death,
And thrown into a water-filled creek bed. West Memphis had never seen anything like this. This was a small, tight city where people knew their neighbors. These were second-grade boys. Somebody had done this to them in the woods. The grief was immediate and total, and the police, under enormous public pressure from a community demanding answers, moved faster than the evidence supported. Here is the context that explains every decision that followed. West Memphis in 1993 was a deeply religious community in the heart of the Bible Belt. And across America in the late 1980s and early 1990s, there had been a full-blown moral panic about Satanism, about cults, about devil worshippers targeting children. Almost none of it was real. The FBI had quietly concluded years earlier that there was no organized satanic conspiracy operating in the United States. But the belief was everywhere, including in West Memphis. And the county's juvenile probation officer, a man named Jerry Driver, had already decided before these murders ever happened that a local teenager named Damian Eccles was involved in satanic activity. The moment the bodies were found, Driver told police to look at Eccles. Damian Eccles was 18. He wore black. He listened to Metallica. He had described himself as Wiccan, a nature-based spiritual practice, not Satanism.
Whether or not the jury actually put a lot of weight on the sort of expertise offered by Griffiths.
But in West Memphis in 1993, the distinction wasn't being made. He was strange by the community's standards, bookish, slightly defiant, not the kind of boy who blended in. Jason Baldwin was 16, Damian's closest friend, a good student, The kind of kid a teacher had quietly encouraged toward a real future. Jesse Misskelley Jr. was 17, with an IQ of 72. He was not close to Damien and Jason. He knew them from school, loosely. He was the kind of young man that small towns don't quite know what to do with. Between the three of them, they had one thing in common beyond being teenagers in West Memphis. They were already on the margin of a community's goodwill. That is not evidence of murder.
Nothing but the truth that we were innocent, and they sent us to prison for the rest of our lives for it.
The investigation pointed at Eccles from day one because Jerry Driver pointed it there. The driver had already been watching Damien and already believed this teenager was dangerous. He gave that belief to police, and police took it as a starting point rather than a theory to be tested. There was no physical evidence connecting Eccles to the crime. There were no witnesses. The investigation ran on Driver's certainty, and Driver's certainty ran on Satanic Panic, the specific, named, documented fear of the era, shaped by a decade of bad television and worse journalism. That fear, translated into investigative action, is what brought police to Jesse Misskelley's door. On June 3, 1993, police brought Jesse in for questioning. He was 17 years old and had an IQ of 72. His parents were not contacted. He was given no attorney. The interrogation ran for approximately 12 hours. Only 32 minutes of that 12-hour session was ever recorded. At the end of those 12 hours, Jesse Misskelley signed a confession. He said the three of them had committed the murders as part of a satanic ritual. He implicated Damien Eccles and Jason Baldwin. He recanted the next day, immediately. He said investigators had fed him the details and worn him down until he repeated them back. The confession was riddled with factual errors. Wrong time of day for the killings, wrong cause of death.
Talk of sexual mutilation and satanic rituals led to demands for immediate arrest.
They naturally turned to the supernatural as an explanation.
Details that contradicted what police already knew about the crime scene. To any trained analyst, it looked like what it was: a statement built by exhaustion and suggestion, not memory. All three teenagers were arrested on June 3rd, and Jesse's confession, despite being recanted, despite its contradictions, despite being excluded from the Eccles and Baldwin trial, was later read aloud to that jury by the jury foreman, illegally, during deliberations. The Arkansas Supreme Court would acknowledge this misconduct. The conviction had already been delivered.
Wednesday, early in the morning, you received a phone call, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Who made that phone call?
Jason Baldwin.
Three teenagers convicted on the strength of a coerced, recanted, error-ridden statement from a teenager with an IQ of 72, and a community's fear of what they looked like. Damien Eccles was sentenced to death. Jason Baldwin, life without parole. Jesse Misskelley, life plus 40 years. Damien was 18 years old the day he was condemned to die for a crime investigators had decided he committed because he wore black, 1996. 3 years into their sentences, with no appeals gaining traction, two documentary filmmakers showed up in West Memphis. Joe Berlinger and Bruce Sinofsky had been given access to film the trial. What they produced, Paradise Lost, the child murders at Robin Hood Hills, showed the evidence, or the absence of it, in plain, patient detail. HBO aired it. Millions of people watched it. And something happened that had essentially never happened before in American true crime. The public began organizing on behalf of people who had already been convicted. Not accused, not awaiting trial. Convicted. Eddie Vedder, Johnny Depp, Peter Jackson. People who had never heard of West Memphis, Arkansas, started writing to the governor demanding the release of 3 men they had only seen on a television screen. 2 more Paradise Lost films followed over the next decade. The case moved into law school. Legal teams began examining the trial record in detail. The forensic evidence, almost entirely absent from the original investigation, started to receive the attention it had never gotten before. And slowly, the case that had seemed closed started to crack open. Before we get to the DNA, the moment that changed the shape of this case permanently, I want to take 5 seconds. A story about 3 simultaneous failures. Who goes to prison? How the system protects itself when it's wrong, and whose murder actually gets solved. If that's the kind of story this channel should be covering, subscribing helps. 2 seconds. Now, 2007, and a hair found knotted into a rope. Defense attorneys submitted crime scene evidence for independent DNA testing. The results excluded all 3 convicted men from the physical evidence at the scene. No DNA from Eccles, Baldwin, or Miss Kelly was found anywhere. Then the lab found something else. A hair, not lying near the victims, not loose in the surrounding area, but physically knotted into one of the ligatures used to bind a murdered 8-year-old boy.
But in recent years, DNA evidence has been recovered at the scene, none of it linking the accused to the crime.
That hair matched Terry Hobbs, the stepfather of Stevie Branch, one of the 3 victims. A second hair found at the scene was linked to a friend of Hobbs. Terry Hobbs has denied killing the boys.
Convicted, and the killer of the 3 little boys is still at large. And my question to you, sir, is, did you kill those 3 little boys?
No, sir.
Former FBI profiler Candace DeLong has said the pattern of DNA appearing in multiple distinct locations is consistent with the killer being its source. He has never been arrested. He has never been charged. The case against him is not closed. But neither has any effort been made to prosecute him. In 2021, the state of Arkansas acknowledged that physical evidence from the crime scene had been lost. Some of it was later recovered. In November 2025, ligatures and hair samples were shipped to Bode Laboratories in Virginia for advanced DNA testing using sequencing technology that simply did not exist in 1993. In 2011, after 18 years, after the DNA had excluded all 3 men and pointed elsewhere, after jury misconduct had been documented, the state of Arkansas offered them a deal.
Didn't want to take this deal in the beginning, and I recognize and acknowledge that he did do it almost entirely for me.
Maintain your innocence, acknowledge that the prosecution has enough evidence to convict, and walk out today. Damien was days away from his 3rd execution date. He had been on death row for 18 years. He accepted. He told people that accepting felt like handing the state something it hadn't earned. He accepted only because Damien would otherwise have been killed by the state. What the ALFORD plea gave these 3 men was their freedom. It let the state of Arkansas close the books on 3 wrongful convictions without ever explaining how those convictions happened. Without any investigator losing their job or their pension. Without any prosecutor being disciplined. Without any judge being censured. The system protected itself from scrutiny by letting 3 innocent men walk out of prison on a technicality that also happened to shield everyone who had put them there. That is not justice. That is institutional self-preservation disguised as mercy. An ALFORD plea is not an acquittal. It does not clear a record. It does not produce compensation. New DNA testing may finally bring investigators closer to the truth, or it may reveal that the mystery runs even deeper than anyone imagined. But one fact has never changed. 3 8-year-old boys lost their lives, and whoever was responsible has never been conclusively identified in a way that satisfies everyone involved. Beyond the headlines, documentaries, court battles, and endless debates are three children whose story deserves a definitive ending.